Welcome, baseball family, to this week's episode of the Baseball Together podcast. We're going to talk about spring training updates, WBC stuff, and more right now. 9+ Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together. Welcome, baseball family, to this episode of the Baseball Together podcast. I am Brig, and co-hosting this ship with me today, co-piloting, I should say, is Blackjack Brad. How are you, Blackjack Brad?
I am doing well, actually. Thank you very much. Thanks for asking. How are you today, Brig?
Oh, just fantaberific.
Very good. Excellent. I love to hear it.
Hey, listen, before we get into baseball stuff, I have a question for you.
Okay.
And I've been saving this question for on the air because that's what I decided to do. It's not baseball related at all.
I'll be honest with you.
It's only baseball related in the fact that you're involved and you are baseball for me. So I was talking to my girlfriend about dog names. I want a dog really bad.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Everybody knows that. And I'm really into human names. Okay, so we came up with a couple of different options, and one of them that we both really like is Brad.
Oh. So okay. First off, I'm honored.
It's not a slight at all.
Second, so I feel like there are a lot of human names that are really good for dog names, right? Like I think one that you threw out there before was Vern.
Vern was my last
one. There was another one you had last year when you were out here when we were at the little pet store in the mall. I can't remember what it was you were talking about. But you've had some really good.
I've had a Hank.
Which was Hank. Yes,
I've had a Hank. Which was
I had
awesome.
another friend who had a bloodhound named Hank, and I thought it was fitting. It was very good, but I don't. Maybe it's just because it's my name. I don't know how well it fits with the dog. That's the only thing. But like I said, I'm honored. That you would think of naming your dog not necessarily after me, but sharing a name with me.
Sharing a name with you. I was just loving it because it'd be a Rottweiler, so it'd be a big black dog too. It's like Blackjack Brad, Rottweiler. The other runner, the other front runner is Michael.
That's a good one.
You remember that episode of the Office when Jim is impersonating Dwight? He gets up out of his chair and he goes, "Michael."
Yeah.
So we decided that we would always call the dog by the name Michael.
Michael. That's awesome.
All right, baseball family, there is a lot to get into this week. Thanks for indulging us a little personal moment there that I've been saving. So free agents have been signed. There's still a number of them, like Zach Britton still hasn't been signed anywhere. But Will Smith has. He signed on with the Rangers. Brad Hand signed on with the Rockies. And Donovan Solano has signed with the Twins. Those are major league contracts. Jackie Bradley Jr. has found a home in the Royals minor league system. Rougned Odor, Rugi, is now with the Padres in their minor league system. And Mike Moustakas, the Moose himself, has gone back to the Rockies. Do you see what I did there? There's the Moose in the Rockies.
Yeah, that was good.
All right.
That was good.
It was terrible, actually, but I really liked it. My daughter would say, "Dad, that was a dad joke and a half." I'm like, yeah, I think these are all good signings. I don't think there's a ton to discuss with them. I think that Jackie Bradley Jr. could end up being called up and having an impact in the Royals system as far as veteran leadership and things like that.
That could be a steal for the Royals, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, he was one of the hottest things going a few years ago, and then it's like he fell off the face of the earth. And you don't know if he's going to have a resurgence. I doubt it. I think that's why he's getting only a minor league deal. But at the same time, though, I mean, there is potential for him to break camp with the Royals, right? For him to make the opening day roster, and it would be cheap. It would be really cheap for the Royals. And I think, like I said, veteran leadership, I think he could play a great role for some of those young guys on that team.
It's his age,
the best one out of all of them, honestly. That's the best. That's the best signing out of all of them, I feel like.
I wish Rugi was having a better situation, but he just cannot seem to pull it together. And it's really sad because Rugi, he's only 31? Let me look.
I don't know, but I do
28.
I do feel like his biggest career highlight though is punching Jose Bautista, and that's what he's going to go down for, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Like nothing he can do is going to overshadow that. Like he will never have a better highlight than that.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. All right, so we get some free agent signings out of the way. Let's move over to the Dodgers. Dave Roberts plans to play Mookie Betts about 40 games this season at second base. This is something I feel like we've been hearing about for at least a year, and it's finally come about. I don't know, give or take a year. And I'm really excited because isn't he a true second baseman? Didn't he come up as a second baseman?
Yeah, he came up as a second baseman. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to do though. Like, I don't know if there's a reason they moved him to the outfield. You know, like we know he's a true athlete. He is a freak of nature when it comes to anything athletic. He can do it all, and I'm sure he can do it. But I think they're doing this more out of necessity than anything, just because Gavin Lux is out for the year with the torn ACL.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the whole thing, I think. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. And like you said, they kind of teased it last year. They didn't actually do it. I don't know if there's a reason why they did or didn't do it last year, but I don't know. It's something to watch out for with the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers are coming. The only way they can go from last year is down, honestly, as far as their regular season goes. I don't know if they're necessarily gonna. I mean, I don't think they're gonna win 110 games again. I don't know if they'll win 105.
But I'll bet they pull off 95.
Oh, I'm sure they will. They're still incredibly talented. Great team. They're the cream of the NL West until somebody takes them down.
Yeah.
So there's
my prediction is that Mookie Betts at second base is a revelation.
I don't think he ends up winning a Gold Glove.
Not at only
that
40
kind of
games.
revelation, or
not at only 40. He's not going to win a Gold Glove playing only 40 games. No,
yeah, he wouldn't qualify.
But if he plays, I don't know. Let's say he's a magician there, and they put him in, and he ends up bagging 90 games. Then yeah, he might win a Gold Glove.
I wonder if they would do this if they got to the point where they were like, if him being at second base makes him more comfortable offensively. If they're like, it's worth it to have him at second base if he's hitting even better there, because I do feel like there is something to be said for a guy in his position and his offensive output, that some guys do better playing certain positions because they're just more comfortable for the entire game than they were out of position, I guess you could say. So,
bro, I 100% agree with you. That's a good thing to think about. I didn't even think about that. Okay, couple things. Jose Quintana is out. He has a stress fracture in his rib. No timetable on returning, and that sucks.
That sounds incredibly painful.
Yeah, because you can't. A rib, nothing with your ribs can be. You just have to wait it out, right?
Right. Yeah. So I got to tell you, Brig, I'm playing a little hurt today. So yesterday there was something irritated by allergies. I don't know. Anyway, I was sneezing like crazy all day yesterday. Well, today I'm feeling it. I think I might have done something on my ribs because I feel like I may have a stress fracture in a rib. It hurts.
Dang.
So bad. It's probably just like an oblique or something.
Yeah.
From sneezing. But man, I'm sore. So I can't imagine what he's dealing with actual stress fracture in his rib.
Yeah, that sucks. That's got to be just terrible.
Yeah.
Thanks
for a pitcher.
You're right, exactly. Jose Bautista is being awarded they're honoring him with the level of excellence. This is some big fancy thing they do in Canada. It's called the level of excellence. It's a Blue Jays thing. It's very exciting. Not a huge list of players from the Blue Jays organization have their name listed on here, but there are some notable names. That's what happens when you put notable and names together. You get notable. Yeah. So the natables up in freaking Toronto are George Bell, Joe Carter, Carlos Delgado, Tony Fernandez, Roy Halladay, and Dave Stieb. So again, not a huge list, but all of them are named at the Rogers Center. I feel like this is a lot like getting your number retired, but not retiring your number.
Right.
It's like their way around it.
So I was at a Twins game several years ago. I was covering it as part of a conference I was at. And that same weekend, so I was there on the Friday night game. Thursday night game, I believe is what it was. It was had to have been a 4-game series. Anyway, it was the beginning of the series, and Torrey Hunter was walking around the press box while we were there because they were showing him around, showing him all this stuff as far as like where he can go, and like I think it may have been his first time in the press area at Target Field. But anyway, it's because they were inducting him into their Ring of Honor. And so I don't think that they have his number. No, they don't have his number retired, but he's in their Ring of Honor. And maybe the Blue Jays don't retire numbers. I'm looking right now to see if they do. Maybe this is what they do instead, but I don't know for sure.
Let me get a couple of these details out of the way.
Two numbers, so they have 2 numbers retired. They have Roberto Alomar and Roy Halladay are the only numbers they have retired. They don't have any of those other guys retired.
See, so that's what I was looking at this, and they were like, Blue Jays to honor Jose Bautista with level of excellence, and I'm like, what level? The highest level?
The 500 level?
The lowest level excellence? Like, what level of excellence are we talking about here? It just felt like it was a weird sort of like almost. Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what it feels
like the Ring of Honor, like with Torrey Hunter just now, like almost.
Just we loved you, but you just didn't, it's not quite. So he last played in Toronto in 2018, Jose Bautista, Joey Bats. His numbers in Toronto, 253, 372, 506, 288 homers, 766 RBIs over 1,235 games. He had 4 seasons in that time in Toronto where he was in top 10 MLB voting. And to me, that is solid.
Yeah.
It's not exquisite, but it's solid.
Well, he had one of you obviously can't say the biggest, but he had one of the biggest hits in franchise history.
Oh yeah,
with that home run in the wild card game.
Totally.
And obviously, there will never be anything bigger than Joe Carter, but he's up there.
So that's why I think like this is deserving, and we're excited about it. We're excited for him, but it also like let's call it what it is. I feel like I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but it's not a retired number. It's it's not Hall of Fame. It's not even like the team's Hall of Fame, although as close as it gets, probably. Anyway,
close as it gets without being there.
I feel like I'm being a downer. Like I'm questioning my tone on this, and I'm like, sorry.
Well, I feel like it's valid though. Like honestly, because it's one of those things where it is kind of ambiguous. Like, what kind of honor is this? Because you're not going to retire his number. It doesn't seem like you're ever going to if you're not going to do it now. He's not getting inducted into the Team Hall of Fame. It doesn't seem like he ever will be because they're not doing it now. It's like the runner. It's like the Hall of It's like the organization's Hall of Very Good is what this feels like. It's the level,
and maybe
of
it's the big moment guys. Maybe that's what it is. It's like these are our big moment guys. We got to find a way to deal with it. Now, I don't mind honoring anybody. I'm all about a reason to party. Like, come on, let's get together and have a jamboree. You know what I mean? Somebody throw some gumbo on
like
there
a hullabaloo.
Yeah, hullabaloo. And if there's a good old Donnybrook, I'd be real happy. And we know that there are some guys in that list that can do it. However, that's like, let's call it what it is. So that's all. That's my curmudgeon.
I think it's valid.
Thanks, man. Let's move on. Bryce Harper has decided he wants to play baseball again in the outfield because his body's going to let him, which is really exciting. So he's recovered from his elbow surgery. He hasn't played in right field since April 16th of 2022, but he's set to return to camp on Wednesday. This is a big deal for baseball, not just Philly.
Right. It is. It is a big deal because you've got to have Bryce Harper on the field with Major League Baseball. Honestly, like I feel like you really do. I didn't see when he's going to be throwing yet because I think he's still got a ways, but I do believe he'll be set to DH.
Yeah, there's not a lot of detail. It's a lot of sparse information right now, but we'll keep you updated as Bryce Harper's situation progresses. Let's talk about this now, Brad. You ready to talk about Mike Clevenger?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
So Major League Baseball has completed their investigation into the Mike Clevenger domestic violence case. For those of you that don't remember, Mike Clevenger was alleged to have violated Major League Baseball's domestic violence and whatever else policies. There's like a huge name for the joint something policies. It's all about domestic stuff. And I should have the name off the top of my head, but I don't right now, so forgive me. But in January, the allegations came out, and Major League Baseball has been conducting their own investigation since then. And they have now come to the conclusion that, quote, more than 15 individuals, in addition to Mr. Clevenger and the complainant, as well as a review of available documents such as thousands of electronic communications and records, end quote, have been sorted through. And they have determined that there's not going to be any disciplinary action against Mike Clevenger.
Right. There will, though, however, what was it? They said that, gosh, what was it? They said that he agreed to some kind of counseling or something like that.
And
he agreed to submit to the evaluations of the joint treatment boards under the collectively bargained policies to comply with any board's recommendations. So it sounds like there might be some kind of therapy going on.
Right. It sounds like it. It also, there are some statements that say that his family, or that they continue to receive family support in the wake of this. And all of that sounds to me like fluffed up language for, like you're saying, like treatment.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. Let me just get it out there. I don't want to be ambiguous about this at all. We talked about it with Marcell Ozuna. Marcell Ozuna deserved to have arms wrapped around him and people there backing him up, and that's not what he got. Right. He was just vilified the whole time. And this, if there really is no fault for Mike Clevenger, and all evidence that we have available to us says that there's probably not, or at least not enough to discipline.
Right.
That's what they're saying.
That's what it feels like. Yeah.
Then the right answer, to me, the only answer is to wrap their arms around him and get him the help he needs, if there's help required. I don't know. All I'm saying is this, to me, I have to look at this and juxtapose it against other cases. And one of the cases that you brought up, Brad, is the Trevor Bauer case. So on the one hand, we have Marcell Ozuna. On the other hand, we have Trevor Bauer. And then we have this entirely new situation going on with Mike Clevenger. They're coming down in a new way. Because Trevor Bauer is still not signed anywhere. And he was acquitted of all civil charges, and allegations have been wiped away. And MLB found nothing worth disciplining him over as well.
Well, they punished him for 2 years. They suspended him for 2 years. But then, was it an arbitrator who said, no, you can't do that? He's reinstated immediately.
Yeah. So I'm totally confused. This is further confusing me about Trevor Bauer's situation.
Right. Yeah, because they didn't even say anything about him needing to receive any kind of treatment, therapy, anything like that. Like, they didn't even allude to it like they have with Clevenger. Nope. Like, it's so weird. And
yep.
And maybe what it is because there were. This is the only thing I can think of, Brig, and I'm thinking of this just now.
Okay.
Maybe because Trevor Bauer was never convicted of a crime, and the arbitrator had said, you cannot suspend Trevor Bauer for this, for being whatever it was he was being. I don't know that I can necessarily use family-friendly words for that.
Sure.
But you can't suspend him for that.
Yeah.
So now there's a precedent set, and they come with Mike Clevenger, and they say there are no charges. He was never convicted of a crime, any of that. And now, like, well, okay, we can't suspend Mike Clevenger because of that, but we can say, do you need help of some kind? Because it seems like there was a problem. Like, when I read the article, it said that I guess there were accusations on social media about throwing tobacco on a baby and throwing an iPad at a pregnant woman and using illegal drugs. So I'm sure somewhere in there, they're like, let us get you some help so this doesn't happen again or anything like it. So you don't get in trouble again.
It's totally plausible.
So
totally
that
plausible.
if you are convicted of a crime, like if it did escalate and you were convicted, then we would have to punish you. Let's prevent that. I wonder if that's what it is, but I don't know. That's what I'm thinking now.
But
the president was set, so they can't.
But if in the case of Ozuna, there's illegal substances and whatever laws being broken, but nobody was harmed, is that the funky line we're trying to draw here?
I don't know, because
nobody was offended by
this
it.
Is the thing, though, is that I feel like you have to see, like we talked about it before with Ozuna, like you have to see stuff like that and be like, the dude needs some help. Like, it sounds like the Marlins knew there was a problem with Jose Fernandez before he died in the boat crash.
Yeah.
But they didn't do anything about it. Either they were trying to, or they just decided it wasn't time yet, or what.
And what do we know? I don't know.
Like we weren't there, and I don't think that David Samson has talked that much about that situation in particular, because I was listening to a show today, and he did specifically say that we knew about problems off the field. We chose to turn the other way because of the talent. Right. And but the problem is, though, is that like you can't go the other way with Ozuna and be like, well, we know there's a problem, but we don't want to help him because we don't necessarily want him around.
You can't do that
because the talent level isn't there. Like you can't do that either.
Culpability in my book.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's what the Braves did, but it's kind of what it feels like.
But if that is the case, then that's wrong, I think.
Right. Yeah, that's what it feels like on my end, though. But anyway,
I understand needing to take cases situation by situation, literally case by case basis. And I support that. I don't think there should be blanket arbitration laid down or blanket discipline laid down in cases like this, because that's why you have investigative committees and stuff like that, right? Like, let's make sure we understand what's going on. So we are armchair quarterbacking this a little bit, and I only bring it up to raise questions. And the first question is, aren't we glad that this seems to be a far more supportive situation than we've seen in the past? That's my very first thing. To me, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
like Trevor Bauer is a pariah in the league now. We've seen other guys go the same direction with a similar situation, and it seems like they're more likely to, like you said, wrap their arms around him, give him the help that he needs if that's the case. But anyway, I think you're right with that. Let's talk about Julio.
Moving on to happier stuff. Julio Rodriguez signs a multi-year deal. What is with words today?
Words are hard, Brig.
A multi-year deal with Adidas. And Adidas now has two of the most likable professional athletes in the United States. Brad, how do you feel about this?
I'm ecstatic. It's funny, though, because I'm not an Adidas guy.
Right.
Like, so I put that in the notes for those of you listening, that Adidas has two of the most likable professional athletes in the United States. Now they have Julio Rodriguez and Damian Lillard. I might become an Adidas guy like tomorrow. So
that's amazing.
We'll see, though, because I do love my Under Armour. But anyway, I think it's awesome. It's super cool. I would love to see him be the face of baseball campaigns. But guys like Chris Bryant and Trey Turner are also Adidas guys.
They are.
But that's a pretty high pedestal to put a sophomore player up on there with.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm looking really quick, see if I can find some kind of baseball players that are sponsored by Adidas. Zach Plesac, Chris Bryant, Alamides Diaz, Carlos Correa, Coco Crisp, Carlos Gomez, Aaron Judge, Trey Turner, Josh Harrison, Alex Bregman, Justin Upton, Melvin Upton Jr., Jason Worth, Billy Hamilton, Byron Buxton, Chase Utley, Justin Turner, Tommy Pham, Kevin Pillar, Marcus Stroman, Aroldis Chapman, Cody Starr.
I doubt Aroldis Chapman is still an Adidas athlete.
Yeah, that's why I paused. I was like, oh, really? Dakota Hudson and Nick Castellanos.
Think about this, though, Brig. Hold on. Think a couple of guys on that list, though. Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
I had no idea he was an Adidas guy.
Me neither.
I just assumed he was a Nike guy. Like Bryce Harper is Under Armour, which good for him. He's been with Under Armour forever. It's interesting that I don't know who's a Nike guy in baseball anymore. A
lot of New Balance guys.
I was going to say, you see a lot of New Balance, and you see it at the lower levels in the minor leagues too.
Yeah.
I was shocked when I was interning with a rookie league team how much New Balance I saw on that field.
I know. That's
a lot.
When I was in college, it was when I was shocked as well. I had the same realization at about the same time. Yeah. Pretty interesting stuff.
It's very cool. Good for him. He and his soccer player girlfriend, if they end up getting married and having babies, are going to have some of the most athletic babies in the world, and they will be set up for the rest of their lives and their kids' lives.
Yeah, you right. Who knows, man? Maybe one of them will go on to cure cancer or something, which would be just as good, if not better.
They're like the next Nomar Garciaparra and Mia Hamm.
Yes,
could be
only with less fidgeting.
More swag, less fidgeting. There you go.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. All right, the World Baseball Classic is coming up, and we are very, very excited about it.
Very excited about it.
I am flying into Phoenix early Saturday morning, literally midnight, Friday to Saturday.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. We will be at the U.S. Great Britain game, and we're going to pump up the jam.
Oh, big time! Yeah,
pumping all the way.
And we'll be pounding the pavement on Sunday night as well before the U.S. Mexico game. We'll be down there.
We're going to do street corner interviews, so come and find us, and you'll notice we'll be wearing our baseball together jerseys, so we'll be easy to spot.
We'll stick out. That's for sure.
Anyway, WBC roster's already taken hits, and not in the best way. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is out with a knee injury. Apparently, there's just some inflammation, no structural damage, but the club has decided, nope, you can't play in the WBC. It might have been a collective decision. I don't know. But he's not on the roster anymore. That's the important point. And then moving over to Japan, it is showtime on the Japanese national team right now because Shohei Ohtani already in his first showing hit 2 bombs in his exhibition game and totaled 6 RBIs in the process. I'm just
this is the thing is he's ready to roll. Obviously, as we can tell, the only problem is and I'm going to say this, but then I got to caveat it. Shohei Ohtani cannot win the World Baseball Classic by himself. That being said, I feel like we did discount Japan when we did our little WBC preview a couple weeks ago. Somebody brought it to our attention on YouTube, and I have to admit that we did discount Japan because we mentioned not many big leaguers on that roster, but
not many MLB big leaguers, right?
Yeah, but Japan's professional league is, we talk about 4A All-Stars. It's a 4A league. They've got really good players in Japan, and they're not necessarily all here, but Japan can compete. I think they can.
Totally.
They'll come out of their pool and they'll make some noise when they get to Miami. You can count on that for sure.
It's going to be fun. We're very excited, and we'll be watching on those games, the championship games when we can't be there. So, and maybe next time we'll be at the championship game. That would be amazing. All right,
that would be amazing.
This is where it gets really interesting. I have been really excited to talk about this. All right, so Major League Baseball is positioning itself to take over local broadcast rights. Now, and this is exciting in every way. Hopefully, in the biggest news is hopefully it dispels. It does away with all blackout restrictions. That's what everybody is hoping will happen when Diamond Broadcast Group, who owns Bally, if they declare bankruptcy and no longer broadcast baseball games, that all the broadcast restrictions for what we're saying is 17 teams now, suddenly, anybody can watch them, even if you're around the corner, which is super huge. Okay. All right. Ready? I'm going to slow down. So I'm excited to talk about all this. Major League Baseball has added 3 new executives to prepare for this takeover of these local broadcast teams. Doug Johnson has been named the senior vice president and the executive producer of local media. Greg, where'd that letter go? Anyway, guy named Greg. I think it's Pinnell. it's a P. It's Pinnell.
I was gonna say, I think it's Pinnell.
my memory happened. Thanks. Words. Gosh. Greg Pinnell, Senior Vice President of Local Media. Kendall Burgess, Vice President, Local Media Technical Operations. None of those names matter other than, can you feel the weight of the structure they're building? Like,
it's
it matters.
A big deal.
It matters to them.
The thing that's nice is that they're taking it seriously. They're not going to be like, oh, we got to do we got to do local broadcasts. Just put a camera there, get the intern to run it. And
the intern. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
They're not just grabbing the interns to throw together some solution. No. This is evidence to me that they're very, very serious. I'm really excited about it. Mm-hmm. So, okay, Diamond Sports Group is owned by a company called Sinclair. Okay. And Diamond Broadcast Sports Group is the company of Bally Sports. They're the parent company to Bally Sports. They have the rights to 14 teams, and they have skipped out on roughly $140 million in interest payments that were due by February 15th. So we're getting the heavy details of what's going on. Okay.
That's so much money.
As of September 30th, Diamond held a debt of $8.674 billion with a B, and they owe nearly $1 billion just in baseball rights payments, and they're due March 31st. Ruh-roh.
That's so much money. That $1 billion, like,
that's half a Major League Baseball team.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know what does Major League Baseball do?
I don't know.
You know, and not all of that is Major League Baseball. Like, the Suns play on Bally,
right?
You know,
yeah, but this is just baseball. This $1 billion is like, just baseball.
Yeah, that's right. The $1 billion is baseball, but like some of that 8.6, like some of that's got to go to the NBA too.
Yeah, totally.
Like, and probably hockey.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my goodness.
It's a mess. Okay, the teams that they're talking about, these are the teams: the Diamondbacks, the Braves, the Reds, the Tigers, Royals, Angels, Marlins, Brewers, Twins, Cardinals, Padres, Rays, Rangers, and Cleveland's baseball team are all caught up in this situation. Now that's 14 for those of you actuaries at home. Okay, so where is the three more coming from that we said 17 at the beginning? And here they are. They're talking to the Rockies, the Astros, and the Pirates, to whom they also owe rights fees that have gone unpaid. And they have informed those three teams as of late that they are unable. They don't have the money. They just called them and said, we don't have the money. So there's your 17 ball clubs that stand to be taken over by Major League Baseball's new, very, very robust team of local broadcast executives. And you ready for my favorite part?
Yeah, please do.
Do you have anything to say before
on this, Brig? I'm gonna be honest with you.
Do you have anything to say before I deliver the coup de grace?
I think I did. That it blows my mind. $1 billion is a lot of money for baseball teams to be missing out on. So,
yeah,
especially these teams that need the money. Go ahead.
And that's why I think the owners, some of them are like, we're broke. I'm like, well, maybe you are. You know, especially teams like the Reds. Yeah. Maybe they really are broke because of this. I don't know.
But the Padres continue to spend money, so I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's fascinating. Here's the coup de grace. Billy Chambers. We talked about him, I think, last week or the week before. Billy Chambers was hired by Major League Baseball on February 1st as the executive vice president for local media. So he's in charge of adding Doug, Greg, and Kendall, right? Billy Chambers, his last job was with Sinclair Broadcast Group, which is the parent company to Diamond, who owns Bally.
When did he work for them? Like when?
His last job All I could find was that his very last job was with Sinclair, and now he's hired by Major League Baseball as a
Okay, so there's two thoughts. There's two thoughts that I have with this, Brig.
Yeah.
One is he's going to run Major League Baseball's coverage of its own sport into the ground. That's my first thought.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Like when you said that was my very first thought. Okay. My other thought, I don't want to say sabotage.
Collusion.
There might have been a little bit. Yeah. I'm going to go work for Major League Baseball. They have a blackout problem. Let's solve that. Pull the plug and out the door.
Listen, I don't know what position he held at Sinclair, but it's interesting to me because, he maybe was seeing the writing on the wall. It jumped ship early.
Maybe.
I think that's possible.
I mean, I've jumped off a sinking ship before.
Yeah.
And because we all saw the writing on the wall. But anyway, no, I don't know. That's bizarre. Maybe a little bit concerning for I don't know who.
Well, everybody at Sinclair's, subsidiaries.
Yeah. That's so crazy.
Baseball family, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we get back, we're going to talk all about spring training. There's a lot that has happened, and we'll let you know about it.
Welcome back, baseball family. So spring training is in full swing. We're a little more than a week through, so we thought we'd do a little bit of a check-in, see how things have gone, especially with the pitch clock, hot topic. And will continue to be a hot topic, I'm sure, all season. But first, we want to talk about this. Let's get into Yankees pitcher Carlos Rodon, who got absolutely wrecked, straight up destroyed in his first spring training outing. Allowed 5 runs on 6 hits, including 2 bombs and a walk in 2+ innings. He did strike out 2 in the meantime, though. So,
hooray!
Got that going for him, which is nice.
Which is nice.
So. Regarding the outing, though, he did say this, which I think is fantastic and is the proper approach to take, because you can't let an outing like that wreck you, especially in March. He said, "Thank God it's spring training."
Yep.
And don't we all look at the box score at least once a day and say, oh, the very same thing?
Yep. Well, the Yankees lost like 10-14 or something, 10-12 or something yesterday or today. It was pretty intense. The catcher, Kyle Higashioka, did say, like, I'm glad. So they had a conversation, and Rodon said he was starting to get on himself and wanted to reach back and just throw hard, like really throw hard. But
with anger.
Yeah. And he was like, I just didn't let it get to me, and I wasn't able to. And but he's frustrated that he's not in midseason form in the preseason, right? So
yeah.
Higashioka said that he was really glad that he didn't reach back for more that isn't there yet. It's not supposed to be there yet. Trust the process. And so it was kind of a mature approach that I was really excited to see as a Yankees fan anyway. It made me really happy.
Well, and this is the thing is, as a competitor, you always want to be at your best. It doesn't matter if it's the first day of training or it's going to be the last day of the season. You always want to be at your best. You expect so much out of yourself. I'm sure it was so frustrating just being like, totally. And you see it, and you've seen it with other guys this season. Like George Kirby got touched up. I think it was on Sunday a little bit. And it's kind of like, you just got to remember it's spring. It's spring training. It's fine. It's going to happen.
It's tough though.
Yeah. It's tough to watch.
It's really tough to watch.
It's like, and this is the other thing that I always have to remind myself too of spring training is I noticed a long time ago that the teams that do the best in spring training do the worst during the season.
True, every day
in March, and it happens every single year. So you just got to remind yourself your team is doing really well in spring training. Might need to temper your expectations the rest of the year.
And that is, you can take that to the bank. Even for specific players. I think it was last spring training, Higashioka hit like 6 or 8 bombs or something like that, and then had a mostly flat season.
Yeah,
not, I always being generous.
I wish that they kept like comprehensive stats during spring training too, like just as much stats as they do during the regular season. That it was easy to look up, because I would love to put together a spring training all-star team, because I know that Dustin Ackley would be starting on that team, probably batting third. He was an absolute spring training stud. And then once it came like May or June, he had already reached his peak and was not good the rest of the year.
That sucks. Yeah.
So frustrating as a Mariners fan.
Yeah.
A little worried about Jared Kelenic now too, because he's already got 4 dingers this spring training. So it's like I don't want to see a spring training all-star. I just want to see you play baseball well.
Question: is it going to be the same for WBC breakouts?
Like guys who do well in the WBC are not going to have a good season?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
What would make it different?
I think it's the level of competition, that it's actually competitive baseball. The guys around them are playing competitively as well. This is the thing, is you have to remember the guys are still playing competitively in spring training. Like Julio Rodriguez said last week, he crashed into the wall. He's like, there's a score up on that board, so I'm going to play hard, is what he said. And I understand that.
Gotta love hearing things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Worth the price of admission alone right there.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like everybody is. And even the guys who are playing for a contract, the play that the product that they put on the field is just not as good as what you see during the regular season.
Right.
But the guys who are playing in the WBC, for the most part, they are. So I think you temper expectations for pool play, because it's not entirely balanced, as we've seen, based on roster construction. Yep. But once you get out of pool play, once they get to Miami, I think that's when you look at guys and you see who really breaks out. Christian Yelich had a couple of great years after the WBC. Javi Baez had a couple of great years after the WBC. And who else was it? Starling Marte had a few really good years after the WBC. So I think you can kind of pick and choose who is going to come out. Like, obviously you have your expectations as to who is going to play well, but the surprises, I don't think it's necessarily a flash in the pan. I think that it's one of those things where they've hit, now they get their confidence and they take that to the big leagues.
It's cool. I hope that's the case.
That's what
I hope that's the case. Yeah.
I do too. But anywho, let's talk about Justin Turner. This just happened today, Monday. This is scary.
Yeah.
So Turner was hit in the face by Detroit's Matt Manning. He was on the ground for a while. He's bleeding. He walked off the field under his own power. He was taken to the hospital. He had a towel over his face. But he was checked for concussion. His wife, Courtney, tweeted out at 6:17 p.m. Eastern time. She said 16 stitches and lots of swelling. Clear scans, no fractures. That's
huge.
That is huge. And if he can get out of here with even a minor concussion, I feel like that'll be a win for him. I hope that he doesn't have like a serious concussion that lasts for a long time, because Kyle Lewis last year, the ball hit his shoulder, his helmet came off, and then the ball hit him in the head with no helmet. Yeah. He was out for several weeks dealing with concussion symptoms. He said he couldn't even get out of bed. And I would hate to see that happen to Justin Turner, especially this late in his career. Because he's supposed to be the Red Sox everyday DH.
Everyday DH and some reps at first base against lefties. So, which is going to spell Tristan Casas, who's a rookie. Mm-hmm. So they need him. I feel like the Red Sox need him in lots of ways. Yeah, and add the veteran leadership on top of that. It's even better. So I'm with you. I hope that this is not a big deal, long-term bust for the Red Sox, but also for Trey Turner. It's a 1-year deal. He doesn't have a lot of time to mess around.
Yeah.
Justin Turner, excuse me.
Well, and be clear, Justin Turner, Trey Turner, they're all opposite ends of their career. But you don't want Justin Turner to have to sit out for an extended period of time. This like you said, this late in his career, that'd be a terrible way to go. But Matt Manning said it was just a complete accident and apologized. Especially like a guy gets hit in the face, you don't anymore expect it to be done on purpose, especially in spring training. You don't expect anybody to get hit. They save the rivalries and the pettiness for the regular season,
as it should be.
Yeah, because that's where it belongs.
We should still have it, but yes, put it where it's supposed to be.
But let's stick with the Red Sox, but let's shift gears just a little bit. Speaking of shifting, see what I did there. The Red Sox shifted on Joey Gallo, but it's not how you might have thought they did, because since the Red Sox don't care who you are, they I guess they evaded the rules a little bit, skirted the rules. They brought their left fielder over to play in the hole behind second base. Play with 2 outfielders, 5 infielders, kind of. 1 deep infielder, I guess you could say. Maybe more of a rover position.
It was like a shallow right. It was like a super shallow right.
Yeah.
So they brought the center fielder, Adam Duvall, in to play just off the dirt in right shallow right. Right fielder stayed right where he was, and then what is it? Ramiel Tapia moved from left to center.
That I don't know. Like Major League Baseball has to be like, okay, come on, guys. Like we're trying to get rid of this,
Alex.
So, and this is the thing too, is I saw a headline today that said that batting average, what was it? It was batting averages and spirits are on the rise.
That's the same headline I saw.
Because there's no shift. Yeah, batters, spirits, and averages are on the rise. Yeah. And to see something like that happen, like, okay, like how many teams are going to continue to do this?
Well, and it feels like they're picking on Joey Gallo.
I mean, there's a reason.
I know there is, but like if I was Joey Gallo, I would have a hard time not feeling totally singled out.
Yeah, I would too. Major League Baseball has to come up with some kind of rule. And I don't know how you play it. I don't know what you do. I don't know if you say 1 outfielder in each field, but I'm not sure.
I don't know either.
I don't know how they regulate that and tell the outfielders that they can't play behind the second baseman.
Well, if you want to bring your right fielder all the way in, that's fine.
You can. Yeah.
You just got to leave yourself a vulnerability, which is, I mean, you're going to leave yourself a vulnerability to the opposite field if you shift like this anyway. I don't know. It's just like,
so here's the thing.
What do you want?
Here's the thing. So when I coached 12-year-old City League a few years ago, we noticed that kids were not hitting the ball in the air to the outfield. Most of the kids in the league were not strong enough to hit the ball in the air to the outfield. So we're like, okay, let's do this. We want our right fielder and our left fielder in the outfield with a little bit of distance, so they have a good amount of space to back up the infielders in front of them. That's their primary role at that age, is to back up the infielders in front of them. What's the center fielder doing? He's not really backing up anybody. So we brought him to the edge of the grass. We gave up center field. We said, if you hit the ball to center field, let it go to the fence, run around the bases, we'll give it to you.
Good for you. Yeah.
Right? And it worked out for us. It worked out really well. But that was the thing, is we were conceding center field. If you're going to put somebody behind the second baseman, you got to concede right field.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. I wonder if they end up going with like the pie slice thing and being like, hey, you can't have more than 1 outfielder in each pie slice.
I think that's what's going to happen, honestly. And I'm glad that they're pushing the limits right now, and we don't have to deal with this in May. Let's deal with it now. Like, let's just get it all out on the table. And Major League Baseball continues to send memos and constantly tweaking things, especially with the pitch clock. But before we move on to that, Joey Gallo now plays in Minnesota, in case you didn't know. I didn't know.
forgot.
He got 2 at-bats, a walk, and a flyout.
All right. Good for him. Okay, pitch clock. Let's get back to that. We're going to be so sick of this by the time we hit opening day.
Oh, man.
But
we are.
Like you said, Major League Baseball is sending memos about things. One of them is about the pitch clock. Mad Max got his wrist slapped a little bit because he's been pushing the envelope on the pitch clock.
That's what he does.
So the rule is, we'll review it. We talked about it last week. The batter must be set with 8 seconds left on the clock. Eyes facing forward, ready to hit the ball as it's pitched. Well, Max Scherzer did not let Victor Robles of the Washington Nationals, the Walgreens Nationals, sorry, didn't let him get set.
Right.
So he was called for a balk because he got called for a quick pitch.
Yeah.
And then the next at bat, Scherzer lost the double play because the pitch was ruled late, which it was.
It was the Nationals super late. Yeah.
The Nats went on to score like 8 runs, I think, after that.
It was a lot.
It's so crazy. So he managed a quick pitch but it was after the batter was set. So this is the thing. This is what's happening. Max Scherzer said that he can play the pitch clock to his advantage, which he's clearly doing.
Oh, yeah.
Right. saying, okay, they've got to be set by 8 seconds. They've got to be set. I'm going to pitch it right at 8 seconds, right? So that's something that he can do. But Major League Baseball is saying, like, give him a chance. Just give him a shot to do it.
Come on, man. Make sure he's paying attention.
Yeah. And part of it is safety too, right?
And the quick pitch thing has been on the rule books forever. Like, you can't quick pitch guys for safety reasons. It's been around forever and ever.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But I thought this was funny what Buck Showalter said. He said everybody's looking for a competitive edge, and it's a good time to be testing those things. It is. Play with it.
That's what I'm saying.
If you get called for $5 in spring training, nobody cares because it's pretend baseball.
Nobody cares. It's pretend baseball. That's exactly right.
So yeah, see what you can do with it. See what you can't do with it. And even batters, like I think Manny Machado has been probably setting up his timing and everything. Like, what can I do to continue to like step out of the box, get ready? I'm sure like him and other guys, like, okay, I need to time my new routine out so that I'm ready to go maybe at 9 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's smart to get it out of the way now. Like play hard for the next couple of weeks because this is it.
Yeah, exactly right.
And it gives Major League Baseball a chance to play with it as well. And that's going back to the shift. What needs to happen? We need to just play with it, and everybody push boundaries, and let's renegotiate everything.
Yep, exactly. So the Phillies' Zach Wheeler, I thought this was funny. He said that he doesn't like the pitch clock at all because it messes with the game too much. It's like,
yeah.
It does feel like it does. Like we talked about last week. You said it was urgent. Baseball is not an urgent sport by any stretch of the imagination. It can be tense, and it can be, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. But urgent is not one of them, and it's become urgent.
Yeah.
So that's
there are a lot of people out there who think this is ruining baseball. Like, there are a lot of people who feel
and I think there are people out there who thought that the shot clock was going to ruin basketball too. But
for sure.
I don't think it will. It's an adjustment. We're all going to have to adjust to it. In a few, like you said, in a few years, there's going to be a point where we don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah, that will happen.
Yeah. But speaking of things nobody cares about, the Cubs threw the first spring training no-hitter since 2017. Now, Brig, if a team throws a combined no-hitter in spring training, does anybody care?
No.
No. They use 6 pitchers. Like, we've talked about it before that a combined no-hitter just like doesn't really have the same impact. It doesn't really feel the same. It doesn't count. And when you're playing pretend baseball, it definitely doesn't count. So I feel like you should just like forget about it.
We had to poke fun at this because it's ridiculous. But what's of note is that the game lasted 2 hours, 14 minutes with 6 pitching changes or 5 pitching changes.
Well, they were probably all between innings. I don't think anybody came in mid-inning.
You're probably right.
Just because that's how it is in spring training. Especially if guys are pitching well, they're not going to do a mid-inning pitching change. But still, though,
it's
funny. I've been to a regular season game that was shorter than that.
Yeah,
that was not a
one time,
but nonetheless, I've done it.
It's there,
been there. It has happened.
It's really interesting.
But anyway, all right. Last thing we have here. I thought this was so funny, so funny. So the Rays and the Twins, they actually played at the Trop. This game was played at the Trop,
right?
Which probably felt a lot like a regular season game to some degree because there wasn't anybody there. But the batters and the umpire could hear the PitchComm system coming from the catcher's earpiece. Maeda was calling his own pitches.
Yeah.
So the batters knew what was coming every single pitch. So the earpiece was turned up too loud. And which I understand, like in like a regular season game or even a spring training game where you're outside, it dissipates a little bit more and there's more crowd noise.
Yeah.
But the Trop being indoors is probably just super quiet.
Yeah.
That both, like I said, the umpire and the batter could hear everything. Rocco Baldelli, he told Maeda, he's like, "Hey, good job," because he went out there and he threw 2 scoreless innings. He's like, "But the batters knew it was coming every single pitch." But hey,
fantastic.
Good for him. Good for him though to get out of there scoreless when the batters knew it was coming.
That's seriously impressive.
maybe there's more to it with the trash cans than we thought.
Bro,
I don't know.
You're going to just end with that.
Not hold it against them anymore.
You're just going to end with that.
Just going to end with that. Yeah.
Baseball family, guess what? We have a Patreon, and you can go there, and that helps support the show. So go to patreon.com. We have levels of support at $1, $5, $10, and $15. And it's at patreon.com. Search Baseball Together, and that's a way you can get that. By doing so, you get access to the behind the scenes content, between the segments content that we don't show anybody except for our exclusive group of rooters. Those are our patrons who subscribe to the show. So that's where you can get your exclusive content, and all the things you can't get on the show. It's all there for you. It's called the bullpen cut.
It's all there for you. Also, head over to ChinookSeedery.com and use code BTPod at checkout to get 10% off your order. We actually ordered some more seeds because we're going to give some out at the World Baseball Classic. So if you do find us, we'll have some seeds for you. They are literally the best seeds ever. But if you don't find us, go ahead and order yourself some. Like I said, BT Pod for 10% off. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review the show where you can. Like and subscribe on the YouTube machine so you don't miss anything that we put out. Each week we will put out the full-length podcast, but also we will chop everything into tiny bite-sized bits to make it a little bit easier to consume if you don't have time to sit through an hour-long show. But baseball family, thank you so much for joining us again this week, and we will catch you next week.